All right, so we're diving into a world where hailing a taxi might feel like hailing a spaceship. Kind of cool.
Yeah, like out of a movie.
We're talking about Tesla's Cybercab,
Right.
and you've sent over some articles about it.
Yeah, some really interesting stuff.
This isn't just some like eco-friendly car swap. This is a whole different beast.
Totally. It really feels that way.
The Cybercab, get this, no steering wheel.
Wow.
No pedals either, like you just get in and it does its thing.
It's wild to think about.
Yeah, totally. Like how does that even work?
Well, that's where this whole idea of Tesla not just selling you a car, but selling you transportation comes in, right?
Okay, so this mobility service industry.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just about owning the car anymore.
So we're subscribing to rides now.
That's the idea they're heading towards, like how we subscribe to music or streaming services.
Okay, but back to the Cybercab. For those of us who haven't seen it plastered across the internet yet, what am I looking at?
Okay, so picture this sleek, super modern, almost like a coupe.
Oh, really? I was thinking like a box on wheels with all this tech crammed in.
No, from the pictures I've seen, it's very much going for that cool factor.
Interesting. So it has to look the part too.
And this isn't some distant future concept car. They're
Right.
talking about high automation capabilities. So they're serious.
So it's not just about looking cool, it's actually going to be a robotaxi.
Exactly.
I mean, Tesla's not the first to play with self-driving cars, right?
Sure.
What makes their approach different?
This one's purpose-built, I think, not just adapting existing cars, right? Like from the ground up, it's meant for this autonomous ride-sharing future.
And that brings up a whole other rabbit hole. The future of cities. Imagine if you didn't need...
Parking lots.
Exactly. All that space.
Yeah, it's massive when you think about it.
So those concrete jungles, they could actually get greener.
It's not just about more green space, though. That is a big part of it. Think about it.
Yeah.
More parks, places to actually like walk around and enjoy the city.
Right, which is kind of ironic given that we're talking about cars.
Yeah, exactly. It's like this weird trade-off.
But it could free up space for other things too, right?
Absolutely. Affordable housing is a huge issue in cities, and suddenly you've got all this prime real estate just begging to be used.
It's like giving city planners a blank canvas almost.
Yeah, pretty exciting when you think about the possibilities.
Okay, but it's not just about opening up space, right? These cars would be moving around totally different too.
Exactly. The way they're describing it, it's almost like a choreographed dance.
A dance.
Well, think about it. All these cars talking to each other, constantly adjusting their routes, avoiding traffic before it even happens.
So rush hour wouldn't really be rush hour anymore?
That's the idea. Smoother, more efficient, less stop and go.
Okay, I'm trying to picture this like my usual commute, which is always a nightmare. What's that look like in Cybercab world?
Imagine this. You step into the Cybercab, it whisks you away, no more constant braking, no more getting stuck behind someone who doesn't know where they're going.
Sounds like a dream come true.
Yeah, and you get that time back, right? The time you usually spend just sitting in traffic.
Okay, sold. But what about the cost of all this? This sounds great for the city, but can the average person even afford a robotaxi?
That's the thing. Without the cost of the driver, these rides could actually be cheaper.
Wait, really?
Yeah, one of the articles mentioned that specifically they could undercut traditional taxis and even ride-sharing services.
Wow, so it's more convenient, potentially faster, and easier on the wallet. Okay, sign me up. But there's got to be a downside, right? Something this big has to have some kind of ripple effect.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just about the individual rider either.
What do you mean?
Think about the car industry, if people aren't buying cars anymore.
Oh, right. Manufacturing jobs, dealerships.
Exactly. The whole system gets disrupted. It's a massive shift.
Yeah, that's a huge chunk of the economy that we'd have to rethink.
And that's something policymakers are already grappling with. How do we manage this transition? Retrain workers, create new opportunities. It's a big question mark.
It really makes you wonder what the future holds. It's a whole new world we're stepping into. But before we go too far, let's talk about, actually being in one of these things.
Yeah, putting your faith in the tech.
Exactly. It's one thing to look cool, but does it actually work in the real world?
That's the million-dollar question. And like you said, the real world is messy.
Super messy. What happens when a cybercab encounters something that's not in its programming?
Right, like a sudden detour or construction.
Like a kid running into the street.
Exactly. That's where the safety concerns come in. Those articles mentioned a lot about testing and fail-safes.
Which makes sense, but how do you even begin to program for every possibility?
Right. It's not just about following traffic laws. It's about those judgment calls human drivers make.
Like when someone's obviously going to cut you off even though they shouldn't.
Yeah, or anticipating what a pedestrian might do, or adjusting to crazy weather.
Okay, and all of that is before we even get into the data privacy side of things.
Right, because if these cars are driving themselves, they're collecting data about us.
Where we go, how we drive, when we drive. That's kind of creepy.
The source material definitely mentioned that too, the need for really clear rules about data security.
Because, yeah, if our cars become like data collection devices, who gets to see all that?
Exactly, and what are they allowed to do with it?
So many big questions. It's like, yeah, Robotaxi sounds cool, but is it worth giving up some control, maybe even some privacy?
It's a trade-off for sure, and one we haven't really had to think about until now.
This whole cybercab thing, it's really more than just a car, isn't it? It's like we opened this tiny door and found this whole other world behind it.
Totally, makes you question everything, cities, jobs, even how much we trust technology.
And on that note, that's where we'll leave you today. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us into the world of Tesla's Cybercab, where we uncovered that the future of transportation might be closer than we think. But it comes with a whole lot of questions, too. Until next time.